Hello and welcome to the Bundesliga Show, Match Week 6 review. Here we are in the house again, and once again, for the first time in a while, it's a tender trio, as Peter calls us, to coin his phrase. It's myself, Peter, and Cam joining from pretty much all over the world, aren't we? We've got German representative, we've got American and British today. Yeah, so fantastic going. So yeah, how are you, Peter, over there? It seems quite early in America now, is it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's still light out. That much is true. But I am quite honored to have the tender trio back together. Cam is here, my esteemed colleague. Good to see you. I love the Trico as well. Committed to the Bundesrepublik. So let's have ourselves a great time here. American sports. My Phillies are not doing so well, unfortunately. Well, there's this stupid thing in American sports that you play a 162-game season and then you have to play playoffs for some reason. I don't. Yeah. It's silly. It's dumb. Anyway,
I thought you'd be on with the Eagles at the moment. They're absolutely flying. Pardon the pun.
Well, as you know, it doesn't matter because we have playoffs. I mean, why do we? Yeah. I prefer a league table myself. I am much more European in that regard.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. And Cam, how are you doing over there in the Black Country over in the?
Well, good. I mean, I have nothing to offer on the American sports. But I've always tried to get into American football, but it's just, I don't know, it's just not for me. But yeah, all good. A bit depressing, really, because it's that time of the year in the UK where it just gets dark at like 4 o'clock now, doesn't it? I mean, the clocks go back. Is it next weekend or the weekend after, something like that? So just getting over that sort of depressing period, really, and then we're getting towards Christmas. So everybody in the UK starts Christmas shopping about now, and it's all that everyone talks about. So yeah, a bit of a strange time of the year, really. So yeah, all good. And to be fair, looking forward to the international break. A bit of a hectic few weeks, really, with the Europa League and Champions League, and obviously the Bundesliga. So looking forward to a bit of a rest.
Yeah, well, it's the same in Germany. If it makes you feel any better, Cam, I mean, the weather has just dropped off a cliff edge the last week or so, and today it felt like the whole day was basically the middle of the night. So yeah, I think obviously Peter's got that to look forward to in a couple of weeks when he returns to the Bundesrepublik. But yeah, before we kick off today, just a little bit of reminder that we are obviously not only a YouTube channel these days, we're also a podcast. So check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. Don't forget to leave a rating and review because we want to kind of grow on those kind of platforms as well. Don't forget we are also sponsored by Covert Football Trips too, which is Rich's magnificent company, kind of travel and football lovers. Like I know that Peter and I, and probably you, Cam, as well, definitely are. You can come to Germany, Italy, everything sorted for your hotels, match day tickets. So check out, he's on Instagram, he's on just about every social media. So check him out. And Covert Footy Trip. And also we are partnered with Cam's Bully News as well, bullynews.com. Go and check them out over there. So yeah, good to see we've already got a couple of people checking in as well. Captain Slugger, a nice name as well. Yeah, you guys ruined my bets for Hamburg and Freiburg. Yeah, I think mine and Peter's predictions let's forget about that so far. It's the last 2 weeks, Peter, we've not exactly done very well, have we? Let's say that much. Rory also checking in. Yeah, have a great show, chaps. I'm sure we will do indeed. So yeah, without further ado, let's kick off. Obviously, we had a lot of big games this weekend, didn't we? A lot of key fixtures in the Bundesliga table. And the one that I guess is on everyone's lips is one that Peter actually tipped right. So I'm going to start with this one for a bit of glory for Peter. It was obviously the game in the financial capital of Frankfurt. Obviously, Bayern, the train that is FC Bayern at the moment, cruised to a 3-0 victory. Peter, you tipped it. I went for a 4-2 in this one, a little bit far of the mark, in fairness. But Peter, Bayern, just too good, aren't they, with that front three of obviously Koeln, Diaz, and Olise at the moment, with obviously Gnabry also playing well. I mean, what can you say? I mean, 6 wins out of 6 for Bayern. Just another stellar performance, really, from the away side, wasn't it?
Indeed. Well, it is actually 10 straight wins across all competitions for Vincent Kompany, which is a record and no coach has managed to do that in any of Europe's top 5 leagues. So unfortunately, the German press chatter this morning, as I was catching up with it, is that Harry Kane has fully ruined the Bundesliga and the Bundesliga title race. This is all your fault, gentlemen, for seeing us Harry, of course. What a magnificent finish from Kane that was on the second goal. I think that Dino Topmüller tipped his cap to him as well. Topmüller afterwards just essentially said, no one can keep up with Bayern in the form that they are in. And Markus Krösche said that too. So there is, when it comes to title race this season, I don't know if we have some interesting things to report about the Bundesliga and German football. That, of course, does not mean that the Bundesliga does not have a lot of merit to it and a lot of interesting stories to it, not to mention the fan culture, the choreo and the pyro, which we'll be documenting once again soon on some of our traveling vlogs. But yeah, I think the bad news here is that there are no discernible weaknesses in Bayern, despite all of the talk about their small squad, despite all of the talk about the Jamal Musiala injury, for example, potentially derailing them. No, they have the team they need. They are deep where it counts in midfield, as I noted on the prediction pod. They have plenty of converted fullbacks that can take over on the right or the left. You have Guerrero, who can also play in midfield. Really, Kompany is an excellent trainer, and he knows how to get the best out of his players, and he knows how to move puzzle pieces around when necessary, which is not always necessary. His job is fairly easy, though. I mean, we've seen Kane play as a 10 recently and excel. What can I say? I mean, Frankfurt are simply, I listed them as title aspirants, as title challengers this season. We can fully erase that now. There were no real positives to report. There was that early disallowed goal, although that was a clear handball and should have been disallowed. You know, enjoy the year of Can Uzun. He will start scoring again. The poor lad cannot be expected to score in every last match. But yeah, this is, I don't see anybody who can potentially challenge Bayern this year. Yeah. We may want to move on to other topics, unless Cam has a different opinion. I'd be interested to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, not so much a different opinion, just echoing the same thoughts, really, that what's even more frightening is that there's still Jamal Musiala and Alphonso Davies to come back into this team. I mean, I was disappointed in some of the Frankfurt defending, but I'm going to put that down to the fact that there is a real shift in identity in comparison to sort of last year's Frankfurt team. I mean, the Harry Kane goal, the question is, can Arteta get out to him a lot quicker? We know Harry Kane's deadly. It's still a precise finish, an amazing finish, but you simply can't be giving a player of his caliber that much time and space. And there was just times throughout the game where, for example, Michael Elise, a man that we know to be by far and wide the best creative player in the Bundesliga, and I was counting that he was just allowed time of up to 10 seconds at times on the ball to almost do what he liked and what he wanted. And as I say, it is a Frankfurt team that is sort of shifting their identity from more of a counter-attacking team last year to trying to be more front-footed. And there are going to be sort of growing pains in that sort of process. But yeah, Bayern are just too strong for anybody at the moment. They're incredibly well coached. I think it's the best Bayern team we've seen since the early Hansi Flick days. And at the minute, I would say they're the best team in Europe, not just the Bundesliga.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that one, Cam. Just how does this Bayern team compare to recent ones? But you've already answered that, and I know what Peter thinks as well on that topic. I think you mentioned it's also the best Bayern team we've seen in a long, long time. I would agree. I think it could even go further than the Hansi Flick side and be better than them, I think, because remember the year that Flick won the Champions League, I guess he got a little bit lucky with the fact that it was that mini tournament in the end, wasn't it? I mean, could he have won it if it was the full two-legged home and away thing with full crowds and things like that? That's another question, really. But I think, you know, we've got to give a lot of credit to Vincent Kompany as well, because let's not forget he got almost like, it was like a joke across Europe, really, when he got appointed, wasn't it? I mean, obviously, you know, Cam and I are Premier League fans as well, and we know that he didn't exactly do well at Burnley in the Premier League, did he, at all? And, you know, he got them relegated comfortably, and to bounce back in this way. And I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, he just looks so confident now. He looks like a Bayern manager, doesn't he? And it is an easy system to coach. Ultimately, the team picks itself in many ways, but he's taken them to the next level for me. And I think this is the most consistent, hardest working, and most impressive, attackingly impressive Bayern team we've seen in a long time. At least since Hansi Flick, and some would argue since the Guardiola days, even is the best team we've seen. So
just to maybe add one more point, there's an extreme lack of noise coming out of Bayern at the minute. In the last few years, especially in Thomas Tuchel's full year in charge, there was so much noise, whether it was about the positions of Joshua Kimmich, the contracts of certain players, and just they really lived up to the title of FC Hollywood that year, didn't they?
Yeah.
But since company's taken over, and particularly this year, it just seems to be so consistent. We go into this game, we win this game, come away with 3 points. The same again in the Champions League. There's as I say, a lack of noise, which is always a good thing for any top team, really, when you compare. I mean, Liverpool are the talk of the media, for example, now, aren't they? And it's the last thing you need as a top club.
Yeah, and I just like the way that company really kind of keeps them on focus the whole game. I think defensively they've improved a lot this season. They've still made a couple of errors, but let's be honest, every team is going to give a couple of soft goals away, aren't they? But I think in general, defensively, they looked a lot better. I don't know if you agree with that, Peter, but for me...
Well, I mean, there is noise. There is noise in Germany. Mostly the noise was, and of course, performance erases noise. The noise all throughout the summer was revolving around Max Eberl mostly, and Höhn is calling him a wimp and sensitive and stuff like this. And the noise that Bayern couldn't get Flo Wirtz and they couldn't get Nick Woltemade, that was huge noise. People were saying Bayern can no longer attract the best players; they're all being bought out by this much richer competitor, the Premier League. Actually, there is a boycott the Premier League movement in the German stands at the moment. Well, the problem is that we Germans need something to protest about. Anything, just give us anything. So we don't have an investor deal this year. Nobody's threatening that. So it's in its nascent stages. We'll see if it grows. But I think obviously the results erase all of the noise. Some of the noise surrounding Tuchel was about tactics. For example, his holding six thing. I mean, you remember that? We had to talk the whole season.
Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? With Kimmich, the whole season.
Yeah,
exactly. But there's always going to be noise around Bayern. They're always going to be talked about in Doppelpass and all of these German footballing roundtables and stuff like that. But the noise is quieted now. Because no one really has anything else to say. I mean, Max Eberl was able to put together the team that company needed with one 70 million euro purchase in Luis Diaz, and that was all that was needed. And any talk of Luis Diaz being the next Sadio Mane was erased within a couple of preseason fixtures. He immediately showed that he could plug in and perform as just an excellent winger, also assist provider. So, yeah, I mean, they didn't need all of these huge blockbuster transfers that they failed to get. And that's why the noise is quieted.
Yeah, and let's be honest, if you look at what Flo Wirtz is doing at Liverpool, and it's not exactly, maybe it's not such a big loss after all, let's be honest. But yeah, that's enough about the champions. Let's talk about Hamburg, the team that we've not talked about as much this season. Basically due to most of their games being really boring, let's be honest. But this particular game wasn't boring at all, was it? In the 4-0 win over Mainz 05. I mean, what can you say about this? I mean, to say they caught fire in this game is an understatement, really. I just thought they were superb from first minute till last. I mean, a lot of people say, okay, yeah, Mainz were bad. But still, for Hamburg, for me, this is the day they truly arrived on the Bundesliga stage, really. And I thought it was brilliant. Obviously, the main man was Rayan Phillipe. He's going to be the one that gets most of the kind of credit. And obviously signed from Eintracht Braunschweig last season, did really well for them. But a lot of people doubted, is this guy a Bundesliga striker, really? But so far, he's definitely looked it, particularly in this match. He obviously had the shot off the post, which was followed in by Sambi Lokanga, who got his first goal for the club as well, obviously also signed from Arsenal, along with Fabio Vieira too. Then it was the main man himself, wasn't it? Phillipe getting on the score sheet inside 10 minutes, wasn't it? With a really nice kind of shimmy to the side, striking pass. Obviously, you know, Riese didn't really have the best game, did he, in the Mainz net at all? But yeah, then obviously more and more chances. They could have had the game completely dead inside the first half. I think Phillipe had another chance. Our boy Königsdörfer missed from a very, very promising situation. He's still not got his first goal of the season yet. But then the second half, probably the goal of the game, really, wasn't it? Dompe with a really, really nice strike from the edge of the area, basically killing the game. Then on the break, yet again, Phillipe showing his quality, staying high and kind of chipping the goalkeeper, really, didn't he, in the end? They even had other chances that could have made it 5-6 or 7-0, really, in this one. Peter, just how good were HSV in this match? I think we've got to give them a lot of credit, first of all.
Mainz didn't really show up to play. You know, it's important to note that they had just flown back from Cyprus on Thursday night. A very interesting match that was, and a great. Cam, did you report on that one, or?
No, I was doing Freiburg Bologna.
Ah, okay. Also an interesting match, but yeah. So they were. And Bo Henriksen afterwards took full responsibility. He said, you know, we were not ready for this. We were absolutely not ready. And Amiri, in his post-match interview with DAZN, was also like, nobody was present in the duels. That's how they scored 2 goals inside of 10 minutes. And of course, once that momentum was garnered in front of the whole hometown fans at the Volksparkstadion, there was really no turning back for Mainz. Henriksen even was saying, "Oh, my team tried to play tiki-taka at the post-match press conference, and that doesn't work. Not in the Bundesliga, anyway." I mean, we can say a lot about the important players who have been brought in during this transfer window. So we've oscillated back and forth. When we did our little head coaches show, I was saying, yeah, I think Stefan Kunst has done a fabulous job in this transfer window. Then they stumble out of the gate in the Pokal in the first few matches, and I'm thinking to myself, actually, no, he did a terrible job. Then, of course, towards the end of the transfer window, he gets 2 Arsenal players. One of them, Fabio, we call him Vieira, but I call him Vieira. So that's how I remember how to spell his name properly. And of course, he was unavailable due to suspension and also injury. So then they plug in Albert Sambi-Lokonga, who does just fine, who gets the opening goal. Something else to keep in mind, the failed midfield acquisition of Nicolas Capaldo, who was supposed to be this Rocky Rambo midfield with Nikolai Remberg. I really like that name, you know, Philly heritage here. When that didn't work out, they slid Capaldo back into the back 3 to play in place of Ahmed Omari, who was hurt, and he did a fantastic job as well. We've talked a lot about this Hamburg SV low block, but it is, or it has been for several weeks, a 3-4-3 formation. It is a low block because Gokolashvili and Muheim oftentimes drop back and make a back 5 out of it. But in this case, it was truly a back 3, and it was run very, very well by Luka Vuskovic, another great signing after I had reversed myself on Stefan Kunst. You know, I thought to myself that this was largely a symbolic signing because they were signing Mario Vusković's younger brother, giving him the 44 number tricot and saying, you know, okay, this is a player who we feel is, as you know the Mario Vuskovic story, obviously, the doping ban, but Hamburg. But it's turned out to be much, much more than a symbolic signing. I think Vuskovic has been excellent for this club and has turned into a leader who can captain those defensive ranks. Phillipe, he was one of the earlier additions from Braunschweig. Interesting to note that he had a goal celebration when he scored the first of his 2 goals. I mean, he nearly transferred to Mainz, so he mocked it with a little with a phone call. I thought that was good. Yeah, but yeah, of course, he's got 3 goals now. And he was the hero for Braunschweig. He ensured that Braunschweig didn't slip into the Dritte Liga via the promotion relegation playoffs last year. So they have an excellent addition with him too. I didn't think Königsdörfer was all that bad. I think he's he's pretty damn awful most of the time. I mean, he was a guy that I was excited about. And I also, as somebody who loves African football and always gets hyped and psyched for the AFCON, I thought he could really help Ghana, be relevant in African football again. But that didn't happen. So there's a lot of positives that are sort of coming together under Marlon Poulsen. You English, you guys love the PE teacher thing, right? Anytime we got a young trainer, he's a PE teacher.
I think that's my phrase. No, like, if he looks kind of young and clueless, I call him a PE teacher.
Exactly. Well, sometimes it works under a PE teacher. It does. But anyway, I've talked a while about this. Haven't talked much about Mainz because I didn't see Mainz. I didn't see much.
Yeah,
of
what is there to say? Yeah. I don't think there's much to say about Mainz, is there really?
What was it? Would you say, Cam? Was it a case of like away day blues? After a long trip to Cyprus, I think I mentioned on the predictions, didn't I, Peter? I mean, that's a hell of a trip from Nicosia to Hamburg in just like 2.5 days, basically. I mean, I don't know exactly how they did the journey, but I wouldn't be surprised if they flew direct to Hamburg, to be honest, because I don't see how they could have got to the game on time otherwise. So I think, was it just a case of that, Cam, or were they is there a deeper problem with Mainz at the moment?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's too deep of a problem. The international breaks come at a good time now, at the end of the day. It was the same for Freiburg, wasn't it, in the early days, that when you lose that heavily, you just want the international break now, just a bit of a reset. And I think that'll be needed for them. But I mainly want to talk about Hamburg because they didn't make the same lightning start to the Bundesliga that Koeln did. But at the same time, I think they've recruited smartly. I know Peter said about the oscillations over the summer as to just how good their transfer window was. But when we talk about a promoted team, you almost need to play with common sense, don't you? And they bought a player on loan in Albert Sambi Lokonga, didn't get too much of a look in at Arsenal. I was really impressed with his first couple of games when he came to the Premier League, actually. But he's sort of that plug and play midfielder that, like Peter says, you threw him in place of Fabio Vieira, and he just did a job. Rayan Phillipe, as we saw, was fantastic. Vuskovic as well at the back. But just in general, they're playing with common sense of we'll be solid, defensively solid, and then they have difference makers. And as a promoted side, you need difference makers. I look at them in comparison to what Heidenheim have, for example. You look at Dompe, who has a wonderful strike on him when he gets time to shift and shoot. Rayan Phillipe with that pace, with that energy. Remberg in midfield as well, who just brings that non-stop energy of carrying the ball forward through the lines. I really like this Hamburg team, and it's not going to be a case of where they're going to be fighting for Europe or anything like that, but they can start to look up after they're slowly bedding into the league and maybe push towards mid-table.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's got his right team out there as well now, because let's not forget that Philippe and Dompe were benched for the first 3 or 4 games. And I think you see the difference now that they've come onto the pitch. I think the first game that they played together was Heidenheim. They looked a lot better in that game, obviously against weaker opposition. They also created a few chances against Union as well. And then this game, they really came alive, didn't they? So,
and Union's an incredibly difficult place to go to, isn't it, as well?
We always it's now 7 points from 3. Let's not forget. So they're on a good run. I mean, Peter, how impressed are you with? Obviously, we can bring Koeln into this as well. I know your boy El Mahler as well. I mean, how good are this promoted duo compared to previous years? Because the Bundesliga gets quite a bit of stick sometimes about some of those promoted teams just go straight back down without really doing anything, don't they? Let's be honest. The likes of Fürth, Darmstadt. Schalke when they came up that time. Some would even argue Kiel, probably a bit harshly, but I mean, many teams go straight back down. But how impressed have you been with these two, and how far can they go this season, do you think?
Well, I mean, this is why the Bundesliga produces such great stories. The title race may be all but over after 6 match days, but we're very excited to welcome these two enormous clubs with great tradition and wonderful fan base back into the Bundesliga. Of course, the last time that this happened, I would say, was when Schalke and Bremen both immediately got promoted after their relegation. So we're very, very pleased with that. Otherwise, in most seasons, you'll usually get a big club, but you'll also get a Bielefeld, you'll also get a Fürth, you'll also get a Kiel or something like this. This is, a club that is smaller and everything went right for them. Darmstadt is another wonderful example, but they'll get all of their best players picked clean by the other clubs.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, these clubs have the financial resources to leverage themselves a little bit because they have large stadiums, because they have large fan bases, because they can generate revenue. And I mean, deadline day in Germany with Hamburg was ridiculous. I mean, you looked at the total value of the roster on the day before deadline day, afterwards, and I mean, they were down there at the bottom. If you look at like the transfer mark listing, and all of a sudden they jumped up to like place 6. So that's pretty incredible. And with Koeln, and they did win again. And Said Amala, I've predicted before in this pod that he'll be playing for the German national team soon. I stick with that. He'll be playing with the German national team in the World Cup next summer, maybe opposite Wirtz, quite possibly. They also had a very, very proactive transfer window. Not so many big names, but a lot of smart signings. I mean, the smartest one was getting disaffected Wolfsburg attacker Jakub Kaminski on loan. Mm-hmm. And also again, Tom Kraus is somebody who's a lot of people have forgotten about, and he's come in and produced Lund and Sabulinson and Johannesson, and all of these guys. They've been quite effective. And Kwasniok is just the kind of charismatic coach that this team needs, and that he's football. I mean, we need somebody like this. We needed somebody. When Koeln had Stefan Baumgart, they had a little cult culture there with his flat cap and how he would deal with Anthony Modeste and occasionally yell at the mascot and the real mascot, the actual Hennis, in the stadium. And Kwasniok, I know Mark and I are continually disappointed that Christian Titz didn't get the appointment because we had jokes. Man, did we have jokes. But Kwasniok is a real. I've been covering his press conferences, and it's an absolute joy. There was one time, the other prior to the last home match, which they did lose, where he's like shouting there like Fred Flintstone, yabba dabba doo, we're heading home, and then he tried to do like this whole metaphor of Pflicht and Kür, and he lost the thread, and he realized that he was not making sense and everything, and but he admitted it, and he had the entire press room laughing. So, charisma really, really matters when it comes to the whole Bundesliga trainer thing. It gets the squad in a good mood. It gets the fans in an optimistic mood. I think, did I see that correctly? I just caught the highlights of the Hoffenheim match. He was not wearing the tricot. he gave. The match. He didn't wear the tricot.
I think after the 2 match,
to be fair.
Maybe, that's true. Or maybe the 2-match losing run, he wanted to snap the trend. Yeah.
But you got Koeln in 6th place, and he was joking afterwards. There's going to be a lot of screenshots. Every Koeln fan, I guarantee you, in the Cathedral City, went out to buy the kicker at the kiosk on Monday morning, and they've cut out the thing of the table and that on their fridge, because they're going to be like, yeah, look at us. We were top 4, now we're top 6. Not going to last, but you look at both of these teams, they have very, very good chance of surviving this year because ultimately smart transfer windows. And the PE teacher is not quite as charismatic as Kwasniok, but they made the right appointment.
Yeah. I mean, you can't argue with either of them. Obviously, Koeln with that really impressive 1-0 win. Mahler, as you say, I mean, what a player.
He's fantastic.
It's crazy to think that was his first start for the club as well, isn't it? I mean, he's going to be some player, and he looks like a real breakout talent this season, really. And as you say, HSV with their 3rd clean sheet in just 6 games as well. So impressive numbers for them. So let's move on to a game which maybe didn't live up to expectation quite as much as the 2 we've just mentioned. And that was obviously Dortmund-Leipzig. I mean, this was billed as obviously the clash between the top 4 really this season, wasn't it? Obviously Frankfurt, Bayern, and then Dortmund, Leipzig. Probably most people's likely top 4 as things stand. This game, I mean, I watched it on the conference, this one, and in truth, I wasn't overly impressed with it. I think it was a very, very balanced game, and some people had argued the cliche, the two sides cancelled each other out a little bit. I mean, obviously, Leipzig actually went in front very, very early on in the game, didn't they? Through a well-worked set play, which was converted by Baumgartner for the 1-0. I think it was inside, about 5-6 minutes, was it, the goal? And then, obviously, kind of lucky equaliser, you could argue, from Jan Kauto. Took a heavy deflection, which took it past the dive of Gulazzi. So early on, you're thinking, 23 minutes, 1-1, it's going to be a real cracker, this game. And at that point, it was very open, to be honest. But I just feel as though, as the second half drew on, it became very cagey. Neither side really wanted to commit to fully winning this game. Obviously, Leipzig did have the goal disallowed through Romelu, didn't they? It was a clear offside there, ultimately. But, I mean, Cam, I'll come to you first on this one. First of all, what did you make of the game, and who will be happier with the point, or will neither side be happy with the point in this one?
I think, while Leipzig were the better team of the two, on the day, I think as an away team, you always have to be happy with a point coming away from Signal Iduna Park, don't you? Especially when last week there were murmurings on Twitter of people, maybe quite delusional or not, I'm not too sure, saying, oh, could this be the year that Dortmund challenge Bayern for the title again? I thought absolutely no at the time. But there were some slight murmurings that what people were starting to say. But I think Dortmund have well and truly been sort of put back in their box in that regard. I thought that Leipzig really nullified Dortmund, to be honest, with that with Kovac's system. They didn't really look that threatening. Made some substitutions towards the end. Obviously, Julian Brandt, who's the most in and out player in the Bundesliga in terms of form. We know this. Leipzig in general, I'm really impressed with Romelu up top. Excited to see more of them. I think they look a lot more fluid with the forward players now in comparison to last year with Šeško and Openda. But other than that, I don't have much to say about it because I need to see more of them. It was the first game that I'd caught of both teams since the opening weekend, since Dortmund played St. Pauli. And I wasn't too impressed with them. I wasn't too impressed with them on match week 1. And yeah, I need to see more of both of them for 90 minutes rather than just highlights. Because unfortunately in the UK, we have no access to a lot of Bundesliga football now.
Yeah, that is a pity. Yeah, but yeah, I can definitely agree with you. I think that Leipzig had the better system. They played the better football ultimately, and I think we've got to give a bit of credit to Werner as well. Let's be honest, because I mean, after that 6-0 defeat against Bayern on the opening day, it was looking bleak, to be honest. But he has stabilized things, and I agree that it was a measured performance. But in some ways, I was left thinking, maybe if they really commit something forward here, that I think Dortmund were there for the taking on the day. I thought Dortmund were quite poor, in truth. Peter, what do you think? Do you think the game was there for Leipzig in a tactical sense?
Well, I reported on this game in depth, and I don't remember most of it. So days later, I remembered that. I mean, Rami Bensebaini was my player of the match, which tells you something, perhaps, of the quality of football that was going on there. I mean, he did very, very well coming up front and putting in some useful balls from the deep. I was also impressed with Jan Diomande, who was not in the starting lineup because he arrived late to catch the team bus. Werner was joking afterwards that he had already set his watch ahead, and that's obviously not what happened, but who cares what happened? I mean, it happens. We've all been late to engagements before. As a matter of fact, that's what Werner said. It was not a good football match. You didn't miss much, Cam. Don't worry about it. Baumgartner, he had an easy finish. It was good set piece play by Raum. And I think Baku had a strong match. I'm glad to see that he's back. It took 4 years to get him back to the German national team, but he's back because we have no
promise. I think about a year ago, he promised he was going to get back, and everyone was like, no chance. But yeah, to be fair, he's done it. Yeah.
Germans absolutely love Riedle Baku. I mean, he's named after Karl-Heinz Riedle, as a matter of fact. His real name is Bote Baku. But yeah, it was. You did not miss much here. This was a horrible, anticlimactic, very midfield slog of a match. Not a lot of good football on display from either side. mean, actually, the Dortmund fans that I engage with, they are largely satisfied with this sort of boring, stable football. They're happy that that they have a team that maybe not necessarily going to challenge for the title, but will remain in second or third place the entire season. They don't really want to have another, must we chase the Champions League towards the end of the season?
Yeah.
A lot of them are just sort of resigned to the fact that, okay, what we have in Niko Kovac is stable, less than exciting football, but we're satisfied with it. We don't want any more stomach agitation this season. We don't want to be pounding acids come April, wondering whether or not we're going to qualify for the Champions League. So they're satisfied. Cam rightly pointed out that Leipzig probably were the slightly better team and deserved to win. If only Baumgartner hadn't deflected in the equalizer. Unfortunately, he was the man who scored, and then he technically scored into his own net afterwards. But yeah, I mean, this match is bad news for the Bundesliga title race. We saw Eintracht, a would-be challenger, get wiped out by Bayern, and we saw the other two would-be challengers split the difference and neutralize one another in what was a match of very few risks, I would say, from either side.
Yeah, and as you say, I mean, already Bayern Munich, after just 6 games, have a 4-point lead against Dortmund, who are second currently, with obviously Leipzig third on 13 points, and then Stuttgart, obviously climbing into the top 4 as well for Cam's delight. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, interesting table, but as you say, I mean, the title race, I said it initially. I mean, my prediction was that Bayern were going to win it by 20 points this year, and I maintain that, to be honest. I can also see them breaking the plus 100 goal difference record as well this season. I just think they could even beat Leverkusen's points record too, frankly talking, which is quite unfortunate considering obviously it was only set 2 years ago under Xabi Alonso's amazing record. I'm not sure if they'll do the unbeaten season because that is really tough to do an unbeaten season, but I can see them winning enough games, winning 30, 31 games this season, to be honest. It might be a big prediction, but I can just see it happening, to be honest, this year. Obviously, let's not forget that we've got Bayern Dortmund on the next match day as well, which is going to be an eagerly anticipated game after the international break. So, yeah, let's move on to the game, really, one of the most entertaining games, really, the weekend. And it happened down at the VW, didn't it? And you could see the smile on my face. It was coupled with the Nuremberg win as well in Dusseldorf. It was a good weekend for my teams this weekend. Obviously, Wigan getting a point at Plymouth as well. I'll take that one. But that's beside the point. But yeah,
Augsburg's at an all-time low, isn't it?
Yeah, that is true. I mean, yeah, for Wigan, we're just lucky to have a club now, basically, after going bankrupt twice in the last 6 years, basically. But yeah, I mean, it is pretty low, but it's not that low for Augsburg right now, who have obviously, picked up a really impressive win over Wolfsburg, who it just seems to be same old Wolfsburg, basically, doesn't it? They've improved in terms of performance, but the results are still not coming, basically, Peter. I know you've been quite a fan of what Simonis has done over there, but you're a bigger fan of obviously what Wagner is doing, aren't you? So what would you say? Were you happy to see? I know you're obviously a member as well of Augsburg, aren't you? So how happy were you to see your boys pick up a 3-1 win here?
Oh, they're not my boys in the same way that Lautern. But yeah, well, I think Germans are breathing a hefty sigh of relief that we're going to get Sandro Wagner for a little while longer because he's immensely entertaining. And a cult figure among us, those of us who believe that that he should be coaching the German national team at one point. Maybe if Nagelsmann loses again during the international break, we can even get him up there. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever said I was a fan of what Paul Simonis was doing.
You said they were doing okay, to be fair.
Well, okay. They're not doing okay. They're not doing okay at all. When we had our head coaches show, I said that I think that Paul Simonis reminds me of the Mark Van Bommel appointment And, that in the sense that there was an excellent piece by Thomas Hita in which he said, this Wolfsburg project, and Hita is, of course, a Wolfsburg fan, and he's, in addition to being the kicker correspondent there. I mean, this Wolfsburg project, how many times do we have to go through this? How many times are they going to purchase a totally unbalanced squad that doesn't make any sense and have a coach that is, either making everything too complicated, has too much of an ego? I mean, that's why they went with Simonis, because after Kovac and Hasenhüttl, they were tired of a coach who wanted to be, a front office manager as well. But Simonis is just too much of a yes man. And the way that Hita sort of buttresses this argument is that Peter Christiansen, the Danish managing director who succeeded Marcel Schäfer, is bringing in all of these Danes, and Simonis is playing them. Now, this is not. Let me be clear here. He's not saying that there's a conspiracy theory going on here. There's no conspiracy theory going on with Peter Christiansen. He's just. I think the argument that he's trying to make is that Simonis is this yes man that's like, oh, Daddy bought me all of these Christmas gifts. I'm going to be sure to play them, and. So what's going wrong with Wolfsburg, as usual, is that you have expensive transfers that are being either used improperly or not being used at all. And the best example of this is Joachim Male starting over Aaron Zehnte at left back. Why? You can play Male anywhere. You can play him further up the pitch. You can play him as a straight winger. And Zehnte got off to a good start this season. Yeah. Another fabulous example is Vinicius Souza, this record, $18 million euro transfer from Sheffield, is playing as an attacking midfielder. Why? Because you don't want to upset Maximilian Arnold. You don't want him encroaching on Maximilian Arnold's turf and stuff like this. And, Dagheim being groomed for a start when Lovro Meyer probably deserved to start more. You have Simonis kind of trying to please his bosses and the players too much at the same time. And I've said multiple times on this pod that Peter Christiansen is a scary looking dude. I mean, he is like Pierre Luigi Collina swallowed. I can't. Cam, help me out. Bail me out here.
Well, I'm going to let you finish that sentence, Peter. To be fair, what you started.
I mean, well, did you ever see it with Pierre Luigi Collina? You would look at him if you ever just looked at him for a few seconds. Especially that face that he would use to make like this.
Yeah, it's the Medusa face, isn't it?
Yeah. He was staring into your mind. You're like, this guy is in my head. Get him out of my head. he's eating me with his eyes. Yeah. And that's kind of like what Johnson looks like. He just looks but he's slightly girthier. So he's like Pierre Luigi Collina swallowed somebody else. And he's a scary looking dude. I'd be frightened of him. I really would. But this is where Simonis is going wrong. And Augsburg, credit to Sandro Wagner wrote a piece that he was praising the power pups. To be clear, he didn't say that. I mean, he said the Zocker, which is a German phrase that I really cannot translate. It's a tough phrase to translate because it means like maverick or gambler or something like this. He was specifically praising the three goal scorers, Mert Kemura, Noah Kai Banks, the young German-American, and Robin Fellhauer, the former Elversberg captain, he's played everywhere this season. He's been right wing back, left wing back, full back position. This time he was further up in midfield. So he was praising all of these young developmental candidates that came together for him and so on and so forth. Whether or not they can do that on a week-to-week basis, I don't know. We have this Augsburg side that Wagner is not convinced he's a wonderful entertainer, but I don't know if tactically he's a very good coach yet. He hasn't proven himself on this level yet. I mean, we have to say that Wolfsburg were once again just set up all wrong here, and that whole left-hand side. I mean, it just. They have some transfers like Kumbedi and Selt that they haven't even used yet. I don't know what's going on with them. I think that it's the wrong coach. It's a weird managerial regime, and thankfully the more character-filled team won out on the day. But Augsburg, I mean, you have to be far from sold on them too. That was their first win since the win over Freiburg on match day 1, and Freiburg had, I think, 3 times the XG that Augsburg had on the day. All those 3 goals came when Freiburg focused in the opening 45 minutes. So we got a long way to go before Wagner can live up to our expectations. As a member and as somebody who loves to visit my friend Mark in Nuremberg and go to Augsburg, I'm really, really excited about this Roman rebranding. You know,
God, it's fantastic, isn't it?
They're tired of being the Fuggerstätte. They don't want to be the pup club anymore, so they decided to be Romans, and they've rebuilt a tunnel like Schalke with a brick wall and everything. They're pimping their Augustus. I mean, it was Augustus Caesar who founded Augsburg, so they're pimping the whole Roman thing, and we'll see. I mean, I can't wait to go see that. Have you seen it yet, Cam? Or
I've seen pictures. I mean, I've just been watching all of the social media content about it the last few weeks. I've seen some amazing things from just fellow German fans just ripping the absolute what out of the club. To be fair, it's been quite funny the last few weeks. Because Mainz followed a similar pattern as well. Mainz are also trying to claim that they're some Roman club now, aren't they?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, I haven't.
I did see something the other week. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Mainz anyway.
Well, I mean, there's let's see. There are very, very few Roman cities in Germany. I mean, Trier, obviously. Eintracht Trier may be trying.
Regensburg, right? As well.
Regensburg, yes. Also, well, Baden-Baden. That's Bath is all that is. So but they I don't know, but Mainz, well, we can go look, we can go check. I haven't seen it.
We'll check that for Thursday or next Monday's show.
But yeah, I think it could, obviously, it's probably an attempt to rebrand, like kind of making a more international brand, but it does come across as cheesy sometimes. I'll never forget, though, my memory of Augsburg when I went with my friend Dave, who's like an Augsburg fan in the UK. And I told the guys, I said, he's come all the way from the UK to see Augsburg. And their eyes, they were just absolutely amazed. They were like, what? He's come all the way from the UK to see Augsburg? They just couldn't believe that people were Augsburg and not at Bayern or Dortmund or something. So I think, I mean, they're definitely a club that want to try and build more of an international fan base. So it could be partly to do with that. You don't know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to check it out if myself and Peter get over there anytime soon. Another question for you, Cam, as well, coming from our very own Rory. So VFB now without Demirovic for now. Does Undav get fitting time for the international break to fill in, or is it struggle time with so much footy for the mighty VfB? What do you think about that one?
I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle, but this is why at the end of the day you bought Thiago Tomas in. He's incredibly versatile, and this Stuttgart team, of course, he's not as plug and play as Demirovic in a centre forward role. But he's someone who I think can do a job until Undav is back fit. And even then, it's still a case of getting Undav back up to full sharpness. That's maybe not even going to be until when the runner comes around, really. It's a big miss with Demirovic, but I'm trusting Tomas to go into that role. I think Stuttgart in general are finding solutions to things at the minute that they weren't last season. I was going to make the comparison, if we spoke about it, of the match against Heidenheim yesterday. In the corresponding fixture, it was practically the same match of Stuttgart dominated it, but ended up losing. Yesterday, it was getting that frustrating that even Jeff Chabot was having pop shots from about 40 yards out. I think he had 2 of them in the end. But then the difference makers now, I mentioned them earlier for the promoted sides, you have guys like Bilal El-Khanous who can just bring a moment out of nowhere. Badruddin Bouhanani, who hasn't got quite the quality of El-Khanous, but it's still those difference makers. And whereas last season they were heavily reliant on Nick Voltemada, I still look at this side now as a team where you've got things that are coming from all areas of the pitch. I mean, Jamie Lavelin, as frustrating as he is at times with his end product and some of his shots that he does balloon far into the Cannstatter cover 3 or 4 times a game sometimes, he's still a guy that picks up the ball and moves it from A to B. And sometimes you need that sort of difference maker, really. And I think in El-Khanous and now Tomáš, who's that versatile forward. I think he can slot in for Demirovic in the coming weeks.
Yeah, good answer. Yeah. We all know that Kanu should be at Wolves, though. I remember what you told me there. Yeah, you must be missing him at Wolves, right? Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Well, there was loads of Premier League clubs in for him over the summer. I was really surprised that he ended up at Stuttgart, to be honest. He would have fit Wolves like a glove. But I'd rather that he ended up at Stuttgart, to be honest, and I'm quite happy about that.
Better used, I think, let's be honest. Yeah, Rory as well saying, yeah, great bully plays with L in their name. Yeah, that is true.
Wow.
And
what about the striker from last season? Didn't he?
El Bilal Torre, yeah.
he wasn't that great, though, let's be
honest. He really struggled with injuries, didn't he, to be fair?
Yeah,
that's true.
He did, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Kanu goal. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to ask, I was just reading something today. I just want to know your thoughts on Chris Führich in the last sort of year and a half and how much he's fallen off since the Vizemeister season.
Well, he's there doesn't really seem to actually. I mean, it was a huge surprise that he surged at all. I mean, I remember when they signed him from Paderborn. I believe that was in the 2022. It was, and I didn't really think much of the signing at all. And then he immediately broke his collarbone, and he wasn't much of a factor for that entire season. It wasn't until the 2023-24 campaign in which he started to heat up and he got those German national team call-ups. I mean, I don't see any place for him here, really. Well, there might be now because, as you correctly pointed out, Tomáš can play as a 9. That's, as a matter of fact, he played often as a 9 for Stuttgart under Pellegrino Matarazzo and helped them avoid relegation that year. He has sometimes against Wolfsburg. I mean, El Kanous, he's probably my favorite new player. He's so enthusiastic about learning German. That goal that he scored was it was on par with Kane's goal in terms of it just being, loose marking, yes, but it was a fantastic goal. And I mean, let's Kema Andres, who's turned out to be a fantastic signing. I wanted to highlight him and use his picture in this little piece that I was writing for Stuttgart. But I had to go with the Stuttgart choreo instead because the choreo was better. But I think that Andres is simply, he played alongside Cajazor in this one, but he's displaced the captain already and is playing in that midfield 6-6 setup. So I mean, it's still a very, very good team. And now that Chabot is healthy again, taking those pot shots that you mentioned, I was really disappointed with Chabot's injury because I thought he was in good enough form to play for the German national team early on in this season. I mean, it's a strong squad. And Undav himself was doing a little pre-match interview prior to the Heidenheim fixture. And he said that, Stuttgart they've been really unfairly maligned. There's so many teams with just as many points as they have that are not getting the kind of criticism that they are. And I couldn't agree with him more. And I can't wait to see Undav back. He can be back. He can lead the line too. There's plenty of options here. Demirovic is sad to see him, be out about 6 to 8 weeks now.
It was just as he was coming into form as well, Demirovic, wasn't he? Because he was in and out last season, wasn't he? And then the surge of Voltemada out of nowhere really sort of, he was even third choice towards the back end, wasn't he? And just as he's getting into form and having the captain's armband, for Christ's sake, and then, it's just sod's law, isn't it, really?
At least he can't miss any more penalties.
Gee, I mean, I was thinking, there was the Stuttgart's penalty record has been awful for a few years now. I even think back to was it the relegation playoff against Hamburg when Guirassy missed one, did he as well?
Yeah.
I just can't think of many penalties that Stuttgart have scored. And then the Stiller one against St. Pauli really frustrated me because you're trying to recover from what the collapse in Freiburg the week before, and then you get the chance from 12 yards out. Just step up and hammer the ball home. If the keeper makes a good save, then make a good save. But these slow run-ups and soft penalties are my biggest footballing pet peeve.
Well, they did win that. They won the penalty shootout in the opening DFB Pokal round victory. So there's that. Demirovic, I'm surprised he still takes penalties. I mean, he's a brave man. The Germans will always remember him as the one who cost Freiburg.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. So, yeah, we've not got too long left. So, yeah, let's just conclude the last few games. I think, obviously, Werder won, Pauli 0. That was another game this weekend that didn't really live up to expectation, was it? I mean, obviously, a lot of people, it was a northern derby. This one started very well through that man, Mbangula, with his second goal in Werder colours. But then both teams had chances, especially Werder. I mean, they should have had more than one goal in this match. They had a number of chances, one-on-one chances and things. Peter, were you impressed with Werder? Is this a sign that they're back, or are you a little bit worried about Pauli maybe after 3 straight losses?
Oh, it was a bad game. Apart from that nice finish from Mbangula, I'm worried about. I'm not worried about Pauli. I think that they'll come back stronger. I mean, I'm a little bit worried about both of these teams. Their players and bad social media posts. Victor Boniface and Jackson Irvine are kind of in hot water. So there's more excitement from social media posts from these teams than from them. I mean, with Werder, and Felix Agu is going to be out for a while now too. So we again have problems at the fullback position. Although this kid from Leeds, I don't know, I think he can play on the left, or Schmidt, Isaac Schmidt.
Isaac Schmidt.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. What is going on with Victor Boniface? Why is he not fit enough to start? Why is the big news about him all of his social media posts? This doesn't make any sense.
Well, to be honest, I've got to be honest. I watched on the conference. I saw quite a lot of the game, and he looks like he's had a fair few pies over the let's say that much. He doesn't look.
A few Wigan pies, Mark.
To be honest, yeah, a few Wigan pies, yeah, sent over from the great town. But yeah, he definitely looked rather porky. I'm going to be honest with you now. I mean, he's a big lad at the best of times, isn't he? But he looks as though he's got a bit more chub than muscle at the minute, if I'm being honest with you. So maybe that could be part of it. Maybe he's just, he's obviously had injury. He was injured for most of the back end of last season, wasn't he? So maybe he's just not recovered very well. Maybe that was part of the reason why Leverkusen sent him out on loan after all, because at the time it seemed like a bit of an odd decision that they wanted to offload him, didn't it? But I agree with you, Peter. I mean, no starts yet is just bizarre, really, for such a good player on your books. I mean, maybe even a start could motivate him to get fitter as well, So it's just maybe after being out of breath after 10 minutes, he might think maybe I should lay off those pies after all. Yeah, but definitely, I mean, he's such a good player, and he's got to be getting out there on the pitch. It just seems crazy to me that he's not starting games. One last game to mention, really, because I'm not even going to say anything about Gladbach Freiburg. I mean, if that was a bad game, then if there was ever a bad game, that was one. Cam, Leverkusen 2, Union 0. Again, probably a similar kind of game to the Bremen Pauli.
Yeah.
Quite one-sided, really, I felt. Leverkusen deserved the 3, didn't they? Do you think much to say about Leverkusen, really, or they're just going about the business quietly?
Just going about the business, but I think it really goes back because me and you did the show just when Hjulman got the job, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it's just what you want and expect from them. He's coming in. He was always the same as Denmark manager. Just get the job done quietly. They've had a lot of noise about them over the summer with obviously the players they sold, and then the Erik ten Hag disaster. They've been the talk of the town, really, for the opening few months. So it's just nice to see them settle things down, get some wins. And for me, Union away from home are a very different prospect to what we see at home. So I think, not much to say about this match other than, Leverkusen are back in the sort of swing of things.
Yeah, it's like what I always said about Hjulman, really. It's like everybody's favorite dad, basically. It's like, the dad in your friendship group that everyone just loves, basically. That's Kasper Hjulman, basically. Yeah, he's and I think he's done well too, hasn't he? Let's be honest. And he's not been defeated yet in Leverkusen colours. So I definitely think he's steadied the ship. The football you can't even compare it to the glory days of Alonso. I mean, it's not even in the same league as that. It's very set play heavy. Grimaldo is really the dominant creative force now, isn't he, from left back? He seems to do he's almost like a quarterback nowadays, Grimaldo, just kind of dictating play from, the back. But yeah, he's getting wins, and fair play to him for that. As I say, Gladbach, Freiburg, let's just move on, guys. I'm not even going to waste my time.
Yeah, it happened. It happened.
Yeah,
it's done.
It did. Unfortunately for my eyes, it did happen, basically. Yeah. So yeah, that just about concludes us really for the week. Yeah, brings us slap bang on an hour. So as I say, if you enjoyed what you saw this week, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all of that jazz. Don't forget as well, again, that we are also a podcast as well. So we want to keep growing our podcast. We've got pretty much, I think, a little bit more on our podcast now than we get on the YouTube as well, which is fantastic to see too. So you clearly prefer listening to us than watching us, I think. Yeah. But yeah, fantastic work there. Yeah, don't forget again that we're on all social medias, basically X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky too. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. It was a pleasure to be reunited again on the show, and we'll see. Well, obviously this weekend we won't see you again because it's the international weekend. So we'll see you again in around 10 days' time when we do the predictions for match week 7. So thank you very much, guys, and see you then. Bye bye. Ciao, ciao.